Warning, this video may contain opinions. Viewer discretion is advised. Elden Ring is good. Okay, so I know some of you were waiting for part 2 of last week's video on Guild Wars 2 and Final Fantasy XIV, and I promise that video is coming, but I have a short attention span and I want to talk about Elden Ring. Or more specifically, I want to talk about how modern MMOs can take inspiration from Elden Ring's quest and map design. And then I want to talk about some of the strengths of modern MMOs and how these strengths could be massively enriched by a groundwork inspired by Elden Ring. Now, yes, I know most MMOs have been around for so long that they're just masses of spaghetti code at this point, and even attempting to implement these ideas would be colossal undertakings. So rather, I'm going to be devising a mythical MMO that'll probably never exist, but hey, it'll be fun. Real quick though, ding the thing if you're new here, only 2% of y'all watching are subbed. We're getting really close to our 1,000 subscriber goal, so hitting that red button would be a massive help. Right, so what is it about Elden Ring's open world map design that's got everyone so hot under the collar? Well, to understand that, let's first talk about Halo Infinite. After the release of the Chief's latest outing, I was dreading the idea of an open world FromSoft game. In my opinion, nothing about the Halo formula felt at home in the open world of Zeta Halo. Gone were most of the intricately designed levels, which were replaced by Wish.com's Breath of the Chief. I know some people liked it, but to me, it was a massive step backwards from what makes Halo so good. So, as the release of Elden Ring got closer and closer, I started to sweat. Based on where I felt Halo Infinite failed, I couldn't possibly imagine FromSoft recreating brilliance like Undeadburg in an open world. But I've played Elden Ring now, and like everyone else, I realized that brilliant FromSoft level design is still there, you just gotta look for it. Elden Ring is a tough love mom. She won't be holding your hand, like, at all. In contrast, Halo Infinite and Far Cry 6 are helicopter moms. They're not letting go of that vice-like grip no matter how much you insist that you just want to go to the bathroom. Elden Ring isn't going to tell you where those dungeons, secrets, collectibles, and bosses are. It expects you to put on your big boy pants and go look for them. Is that a cave in the distance, or just a shadow on the cliff face? I don't know. Elden Ring isn't saying, so you better go check it out just in case there's an entire secret cave world that's been hiding under your feet this entire time. Now, bringing this back to MMOs, when was the last time you actually explored the world? Like, actually explored it? There are very rarely any hopes of finding secrets or adventures off the beaten path, so what's the point? Most MMOs nowadays have a giant neon arrow hanging over everything even mildly significant, and if you still miss it somehow, don't worry, they'll put it on your map too, just in case. The result of this aggressive modern MMO hand-holding is that players will just beeline for the next map marker, never looking up from their compasses and not even taking notice of the world that these devs have so painstakingly created for us. In Elden Ring, on the other hand, the extent of the information given by most quest givers is go south, if they're even that specific. And the result here is that players will follow these vague orders, but they'll still keep exploring the world around them out of sheer necessity. With this quest design philosophy, FromSoft have managed to deliver one of the most exciting adventuring experiences I've had in years. Now, I don't think it's too late for the MMO industry to course correct on this map marker trend. The re-release of Classic WoW shows that players still want a less hand-holdy leveling experience. And yeah, Classic WoW's quests aren't particularly inspired, but the way they're delivered is incredibly engaging. In Shadowlands, you pop open your quest log and there's a conveniently placed map that clearly marks your next destination. And most players don't even bother reading the quests, because at this point, they're just flavor text. Classic WoW, on the other hand, did away with these map markers. Players had to read the quest, just in case they included vital bits of info like turn right at the second tree. Sure, you can argue that just dropping down a map marker makes it easier, but isn't this a hell of a lot more interesting? If you need to read quests to figure out where to go, you're automatically immersed in the story. You have to pay attention, pick up clues, and therefore you're inevitably focusing on the experience. Focusing, rather than chasing that next Pavlovian ding. There are plenty of quests like this throughout Classic WoW, and perhaps the most notorious among them is Mankrik and his f***ing wife. He stands there luring in low-level players, ready to bestow upon them one of the most frustrating goose chases in MMO history, lost in battle. Mankrik's taken a hit to the head, so he can't really recall what happened. All he knows is that he lost his wife on the Gold Road, which is massive, by the way. Frankly, it's very unlikely that you're gonna find her without help, but that, as it turns out, is what made this quest so legendary. I highly recommend watching Ghostcharm's video on Mankrik. It's really good, and he goes into a lot more detail than I have time for here, so I'll drop a link in the description. Going back to that vague Elden Ring style quest delivery, a quest like Lost in Battle forces players to engage not just with the world around them, but with the community. Now, yes, I know the community was far more likely to troll you than actually tell you where she was, but damn it, those are fun memories. And is this so different to someone leaving an enticing "try jumping" next to a cliff edge? Now, just to be clear, I'm not saying that modern MMO map design is bad. In fact, some systems would massively enrich an Elden Ring style groundwork. The biggest problem with quests like Lost in Battle is the tedious travel time. Even if you know exactly where to go, it's still a long and uneventful trek. Now, yes, I know what you're thinking. Isn't the trek exactly the sort of world exploring we're talking about? Well, sure, it would be if there was something to discover other than random brain-dead mobs. The most exciting gameplay that you're gonna get running from point A to point B in the Barrens is honestly trolling those kids trying to find Mankrik's wife. So in my mythical Elden Ring inspired MMO, I'd throw in Guild Wars 2 style random events and map metas. In Elden Ring, when you're trudging along to see if that's a cave or a texture error, there's a good chance a big ass dragon is gonna drop out of nowhere and kick your ass completely unexpectedly. And yes, I know MMOs can't be dropping world bosses on the heads of unsuspecting noobs no matter how funny it would be. But giving vague quest directions and throwing in random events a la Guild Wars 2 would massively enrich the adventuring experience. Let's just make the random events better than Final Fantasy's fates, please? Okay, so I got a weakness for collectathons. Spyro was one of my first games. I 100%ed Spider-Man on the PS4 and I loved every second of it. Similarly, what I love in ESO are all the collectibles. Sky shards, lore books, way shrines, delves, there are a lot of things to tick off your collectathon checklist. And that just scratches an itch for me. Though, I know that is subjective, but anyway, let's throw collectibles into our mythical MMO mix and take a look at what we got. A game that forces you to engage in the world by removing map markers while also sharing clues in the quest text, so we gotta focus on storytelling with the added bonus of building community. Then we've got our random events that keep travel time interesting, and lastly, some collectibles focused on revealing essential details about the lore. I think that sounds pretty dope. Yeah, I'm not saying I just imagined up the world's greatest MMO by mashing together Elden Ring style vague quest and map design with modern MMO systems, but I think you can at least agree that I'm onto something here. Ultimately, I just want to feel like I'm having an adventure again rather than being led around the world by my mom. I miss the mystery of classic WoW, and I had no idea how much I missed it until I played Elden Ring. What do you think modern MMO map and quest design is missing? Would you play this fictional game? Am I completely off base? This is a light-hearted thought experiment, so get creative in the comments section and we can talk about it. Sub if you haven't already, and go check out our other MMO content, like this one where we talk about the new player experience for Guild Wars 2 and Final Fantasy, or this video that I'm sure you'd dig. I'll catch you guys in the next one, and remember, y'all know this is just my opinion, right?